Yeah, well, no, yeah. On a no, yeah.
Hello, this is Ryan Riccitelli with asnews.net, and sorry that we've been away for a few weeks, but we just moved into a new compound here, the Ring Media compound, the Kiteboarder magazine. It's basically right on one of the sickest launches in Corpus Christi, and it's just a 6-bedroom house with a workshop and a garage that has our chase boat in it, and actually my office right now, the studio where we're broadcasting out of, we're looking out over the rails, and actually Corky, who I have online today from Liquid Force, we've shot actually a Liquid Force advertisement right out the door. So anyway, today I have Corky Cullen, who is a pioneer of kiteboarding, and he also works for Liquid Force now. He's been a pro since, I don't even know if there were pros back when he started, but he works for Liquid Force, which is a company that's been around since 1995, and is the brainchild of one of wakeboarding's first pro riders, Tony Finn, and board designer Jimmy Redmond. The company is one of the #1 brands in wakeboarding and has been in the kiteboarding industry since the early days. And Corky Cullen's been a part of Liquid Force since pretty much day one, so I've probably given him more than an intro than he needed. But Corky, why don't you say hello to everybody and just give a little intro about yourself?
Hey, everybody. Intro. This is Corky Cullen talking to you live from the Liquid Force headquarters in Encinitas, California. How's everybody doing?
Well, Corky, it's real cool to have you on the show. The show's been offline for almost 3 weeks now. It's been summer. I took a little break to do a little kiteboarding, and we shipped another magazine, our new magazine. It's actually just is available now online for free, our PDF. It's at the kiteboardermagazine.com, or actually thekiteboarder.com, and we've been revamping our websites and just making a lot of changes to help just make this whole process more efficient. So, yeah, dude, you're actually podcast number 50.
Cool.
Yeah, so anyway, and Corky's a really good friend of mine. We've traveled all over the world, and now he's more on the business side of the sport, helping to develop gear and taking all those years of experience and helping to just, create better products. So why don't you first tell us a little bit about that and your role at Liquid Force?
At Liquid Force here, we all wear lots of different hats, but, we concentrate on trying to come out with, the best, kiteboarding products in the world, and try to keep people stoked, and all the way from the, beginner entry-level kiteboarders all the way up to our pro-level riders. So, we found that, making a kite for everyone works really well. So we're really stoked with that, and we're really looking forward to 2007 with all of our new products.
Well, and you came on almost at a time right when there was a changeover from 06 to 07. You were kind of being the pro rider, the senior team rider, and also team manager. And so this next year of product is you've had a lot more hands-on. And why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, there's just a lot of changes have happened in the last probably 2 years with Liquid Force, and probably the biggest is just getting our own kite designer. Julian Fillion has come on, and he is an incredibly brilliant designer, and he has given us so many incredible designs that we're taking to the market now. It's something that we've really never had in the past, and Julian has done all the designs, on basically, he likes to say everything that is not a fin or a screw or a board, he does. We're really fortunate to have him here. So, and also using our board designer Jimmy Redmond is super huge. Jimmy's been designing wakeboards and surfboards for over 25 years. So, we're really stoked to have that, and it's just kind of trying to get the right products out. It's so tough these days, because the market and the industry is changing so fast. It's is it a bow kite? Is it a supporting leading edge kite? Is it a fifth line combination, kite? There's so many different things that, people are bringing to the marketplace, and, we're trying to come out with, our own stuff, and that's what we're here to do, and come out with the best products and make kiteboarding easier. Ryan, it's come a long way since, you and I, have thrown up two-line kites and gotten drug off our edge and slammed into the water. It's different these days. It's a lot easier, and it's getting better and more accessible, and it needed to do that in order for the sport to grow. I kind of envy the people that kind of waited around and said, you know what, that looks a little hard. I'm gonna wait around a couple of years until things get more refined, and thank God it did, and kiteboarding is a lot safer and easier to learn than it has ever been before. So we're all stoked for that.
Well, and with that said, actually, my girlfriend, she's learning to kite, and she spent maybe 4 hours flying a kite. She got on one of the Liquid Force Assault kites. Zach Kleppe actually was teaching her how to kite along with her friend, and he got both of the girls standing up in 2 hours. And the whole idea to be able to let go of the kites, the flat kites, and the depowerability of them, it makes me breathe easy when I'm watching her learn, because I know all of the headaches and the draggings and the beatings that I took. So, yeah, right now, this is the time for kiteboarding, for anyone to get involved in kiteboarding. The new flat kites, or whatever you want to call them, bow kites, SLEs, I don't know what they're calling them half these times. I don't want to offend anybody. But, it's just really opened up kiting. And, with that said, how has that affected the sales of your kites, like the sea kites?
Definitely, like, sea kite sales, are definitely down, I think, for everyone across the board. I love sea kites. I've had, just, 4-line or 2-line kites. I've had, many good years, riding waves and, jumping and stuff. But I'll tell you what, like, it's not the same, but it's a lot easier now, and it makes it easier for a lot of people. And we're stoked to be able to do that, but that doesn't mean we're not going to make a standard sea kite, because there's still people, that do want that, and especially with the kind of higher end, kind of teenage trust fund tour kids that do all the, the high end maneuvers that involve kite loops and wake style tricks, all of their moves and those competitions have been based around sea kites. So, now granted, that's a very small percentage of our industry. Liquid Force is a core company, but we want to offer a kite for everyone. We want to give people the choice, and we want people to be stoked on our brand and not be able to say, well, shoot, Liquid Force doesn't make this. It's just, I'm going to go get this kite because this brand doesn't make it. So, there's a lot of different aspects to kiteboarding, and we want to be able to be a part of all of it. So.
Well, and you guys are rolling out the 5-line sea kite, the MiG, for 07, and
right.
A lot of manufacturers have just plain out said, we're not going to produce a sea kite. They're a thing of the past, and what's your thought on that? Do you think that sea kites?
I'll tell you, like, regular sea kites, in perfect conditions are great. They're fun to ride. But I'll tell you what, you give it to like a beginner, or you give it to someone in really high winds or gusty winds, it's not going to perform as well, as the new supported leading edge kites. It's just not. They're harder to fly. You need to rely on more of your kiteboarding skills. Like, you can take, any pro rider, you can throw him out in the water on most anything, and he'll be able to perform, and do all his tricks and stuff, and he's used to the steady pull of the sea kite. But you take an average rider, that works, 5 days a week and wants to go kiting on the weekend, and he doesn't want to get beaten around, and he wants to go out and have a good time, take a kite that's got a ton of range, relaunches fast, and has a really, great safety depower system. That's really what it's all about, So that's the way we look at it, and we want to still offer a sea kite, and I don't know what's going to happen next year, but I hope we're still making them. I was talking to one of my friends in Florida, and he was saying, Neil Hutchinson, and he's like, you know what? He thinks the sea kites are going to come back next year, and I'm like, shoot, I'm not even ready to say. who knows what's 6 months down the line in kiteboarding, and it's kind of a crazy ride, but I think we're all having fun. So,
well, in what kind of, like, the MIG? I mean, obviously you don't just keep on putting out the next.
No. I mean, we went ahead and we completely redesigned our sea kite, and the cool thing about our sea kites is you can use them with or without, a fifth line. And most people that do use sea kites do like the fifth line. It's definitely the safest way to depower, a 4 or 5 line kite, for sure. So that's why we do make it. And, there's some people that really do prefer that style of kite, especially in the middle sizes, 12, 9, and 7. The sea kites still work really well. In the bigger sizes, I got to say they definitely don't work as well. And, I'm sure there's probably 100 people out there that could, disagree with me on that. But, it's a reality, so.
With that said, there's all these new kites with the battens and, they're the Octane, the North Vegas. I mean, are you guys ever going to move towards that type of sea kite, or are you guys going to stay with just a traditional sea?
I'm sorry? I missed you there for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was asking, you guys have a traditional sea. Are you guys entertaining the idea of designing something, or has your design evolved to something similar to the Octane and the Vegas, or are you guys just sticking with the traditional sea?
No, I mean, we just, our MiG is a traditional sea kite, and, we're stoked to be able to offer that, because there is still, a core group of riders that want that. It's not an incredibly fast-turning kite, and it's not a super slow-turning kite, and it's not a kite that offers incredible D-power. It's a solid sea kite that's super durable, and it's meant for people who really want that. They want that style of kite, They either want to ride it, with a pulley bar, or they want to ride it with a chicken loop, and they want just super simplicity. They want to show up at the beach, they want to hook up their 4 lines, or their 5 lines, their 4 lines, whatever they want, and they just want to go. They don't want to deal with any bridles, and, they want to just kind of focus on, riding that type of kite, and we're still going to make one, so.
Well, we've fielded a lot of questions from as many forums as we could round up, and we have a pretty good penetration on all the forums because most of the webmasters like us. And so these are some questions actually from the kiteboarding community, and a lot of people are. This was a common question, so we kind of just summed it up. So I apologize to anyone's name I didn't mention out there. But you guys are a wakeboarding company, and you guys are surrounded by wakeboarders all the time. Obviously, your wakeboarding gear is really like a premium brand. You recently won the Manufacturer of the Year in 2005. Are you guys seeing many of your wakeboard team or wakeboarders wanting to cross over, or what's
That was funny. We just got back from Surf Expo on Tuesday, and while we were at the show, Jude, one of our Canadian reps from Nautic, came up to us and he said, Corky, he goes, Philip Sovin over here wants to learn to kiteboard.
That's Froggy, right? To anybody who doesn't know,
that's Froggy.
He's a kid named Froggy.
And Froggy's one of our, our top wakeboard guys. He has a wakeboarding pro model with us called the PS3, and Froggy's been on the team, I think, since he was about 12. And he's had various pro model, Grom boards and stuff coming up. And, that was a complete shocker that, he wanted to learn to kiteboard. So, and that's just recently. And, within the last, year or so, Colin Harrington, one of our Liquid Force wakeboard team riders, and Quicksilver team riders.
I think, actually,
surfer.
Colin, you and I, and Chuck Patterson, along with, who else was helping us? Bree Kamel. We got Colin up and riding in, I think, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
I think Andy Herdman was definitely helping him out, to fly the kite and stuff. And, it was like, just, put the bar in the kid's hand and, just let him go. And he was just cruising downwind on his wakeboard. He was like, oh, this is cool. Can I learn how to jump? So, you take a lot of these riders from different board sports, and as soon as you kind of get them keyed in with the kite, they're ready to go. I even, one of my friends makes boards for Dan Malloy, and, I even heard that, Dan wants to learn. So, the Malloy brothers have always been really open to, different types of, ways to ride waves, is anywhere from riding total retro single fins, all the way to, stand-up paddle surfing, It's just another way to, ride waves. So, there's a lot of buzz out there like that. And, it's, to a lot of us, kiteboarding has been around for a while, and, but still to a lot of people, it's a new sport. So, and a lot of people are, starting to look at it with a really open mind, which is really cool. So.
Well, and, Liquid Force, you guys are rolling out a new SLE next month, and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're coming out with our new Havoc supporting leading edge kite, and we're really stoked. And all the feedback that we've gotten from all the distributors and reps, is amazing, and it's surpassed anything that I would have ever expected. And it's just an incredibly stable all-around kite, and it does everything really easily. And I can probably sit here and bullshit you about how good the kite is, but I encourage you to get out there, go to a shop that carries Liquid Force products, or track down a rep or an importer and try the Havoc. It's the steadiest, easiest to fly kite we've ever made by far. And every time I see another post on the forum about it, I just get stoked, or a call from a shop or a rep or an importer. It's all super positive. So anyway, at Liquid Force, we're really very excited about the 2007 Havoc, and the kite is really easy to fly, easy to relaunch. It jumps well. You can ride it unhooked. It's fast enough for wave riding, but not too fast where it would get away from you, and it's not too slow. You're able to kite loop it, and I just encourage you to get out there and give it a try. And we're also really stoked about our new control system. We completely redesigned our control systems this year, and they're specific for every kite. And we did a completely new molded chicken loop system and a new sheeting system also that is a part of our safety system. So it's all integrated. It's very simple, and it's very clean. And we also have a new on-the-fly stopper ball that does not utilize any mechanical parts. We're super stoked on that. And, I encourage you to get out there and check out, the new...
So when you say an on-the-fly stopper ball, you mean like you can just kind of pull it down and adjust it to
Yeah,
where you want?
it slides up and down, and then on the two lines that are used to control the power of the kite with the cleat, which is connected on top of the chicken loop, and you're able to adjust the stopper ball on the fly without unscrewing a thumb screw or any other mechanical part. So there's no buttons to push, it just slides up and down. And it's really nice because in lighter winds, you kind of want to have a shorter chicken loop throw, or in higher winds, or if you're riding a surfboard, you really, a gust hits you, especially an offshore gust, you want to really be able to sheet out and depower the kite. And it's awesome. We're super stoked on it. So.
And you guys are always designing new wakeboarding stuff, and what is the crossover between the two? Do you guys share an R&D, or is it completely separate?
No, we actually do. It's funny when Jimmy started, I think, working on, last year when he was working on Shane Bonifay's new Pro model, they actually utilized one of the rails off of Moy's Pro model because Shane wanted a softer rail. He wanted a rail that wasn't going to hang up on sliders. Like, Shane just got the 2006 wakeboard slider award. He was the best slider rider of the year, and his board, it was funny, and they even, they brought it up at the sales meeting. It's like, it's the kiting and the wakeboard design is definitely crossing over. And now we actually are collaborating on construction parts of board construction and doing more composite constructions. And in wakeboarding right now, the big thing in wakeboarding right now is boards that have flex, And as you know from kiteboarding, we've been doing boards with Flex for probably about 6 years. So that's a really big thing for doing, nose presses and riding rails and things. And now wakeboarders are able to, flex their board. And a lot of that kind of construction is being crossed over, in a new board that we're working on for kite, which is called the Recoil. And at the same time, Wake is utilizing that same construction with their new board called the Press. So it's been kind of, it's that time of year. It's an exciting time when all of the products we've been working on for the last few months are starting to actually, become real and not just ideas anymore. So anyway.
Here's a question that comes out of the forum. LF has been making bindings for years for wakeboarding and has a lot of experience in bindings and footbeds and air cells. Are the bindings the same for kite as they are in wakeboarding, or are they different?
There's little things. Like if you look at the union binding, it's really easy to see. It's a total crossover from the ultra suction, which has, I think, been in the line for about 9 years. And the difference between the ultra suction and the union is it just has one less wrap underneath the overlay, and it's almost the same exact binding. And the reason behind that, it's a solid binding that we've had in the line for years, and there's not going to be any problems with it. And it's simple. It doesn't have any moving parts, and all the riders really seem to enjoy it. So, and then our new Escalade for this year is a crossover with the wakeboarding Sphinx binding. And we just changed little things about, putting Lycra on the toe piece and then making an extra pull tab on the laces and applying only one lace lock to the binding. So it's just little things that we're able to adapt from wakeboarding onto the kiteboarding line. So, and it crosses over like that. And then also, if we go into our foot pads and straps, we've been doing molded, footbeds for years. And we're one of the only companies, I think, in kiteboarding that does a molded EVA footbed. And it does differ from wakeboarding a little bit. In wakeboarding, you really want to be locked down, where obviously when you're kiteboarding with foot straps, you're not really going to be locked down. So it's a different type of footbed, but we're still utilizing the same types of technology and materials.
Well, also too in the recent last 3 years, there's been this rail explosion. I mean, are you seeing a lot more people going back to, or I should say, going back to boot bindings, and then like new people wanting to try out boot bindings because of all this?
Yeah, I think that definitely like a lot of the high end riders. If you're hitting rails or you're doing super powered up moves, you're going to stick more stuff when you're in boots. Like granted, a lot of the young kids on the tour are mostly using foot straps. It's because they're going out into conditions where, they need to be riding super light boards in possibly fluky conditions, and it's maneuver oriented for points. So those kind of guys are going to be wanting the lightest things possible. Doesn't matter how light the bindings are, they're going to make the board heavier, But for free riding, you can land more tricks, come in hot with bindings than you ever will, with foot straps, for sure.
I just had to laugh. Someone's in our chat room right now, and they said to ask you if you're going to pick up Felix Pivic as a team rider anytime soon.
We've been watching Felix for a while, and he's probably, one of the most incredible wave riders in the world, I got to say. I've known Felix for years. I probably known him for a few years too long. And Felix is actually no longer allowed in my house when my girlfriend's home. But no, we love Felix. He's awesome. And I mean, there's a guy who can ride waves in both directions better than anyone. I swear what Felix and Ben are doing right now is so good for our sport. I hope that more people take notice about their style of riding and what they're doing right now. So,
well, on a serious note, this also came in from the forum. I've got two questions that are actually pretty interesting. One is, what's the difference between the feel in foot straps and boots?
Okay.
You're a good guy. You've ridden boots for most of your career. What's your take on that?
I always, as soon as I got into boots, my whole thing was, it was just more comfortable, and I just felt better being locked in. And then, I did give foot straps a try, and I rode foot straps for a while on a consistent basis. But I always felt that, being in wakeboard bindings, I was more secure, and, I was able to land more jumps, edge harder. And I've always kind of been kind of a non-chicken loop guy. I was more of a guy riding with the pulley bar and more of a two-line influence. So when you come from that influence, which is more of a powered-up style riding, it's really difficult to be riding in foot straps. And, still to this day, if I'm going to go ride a wakeboard, I'm going to go ride bindings. And it's easier for me, dang board keeps flying off my feet when I put the foot straps on. So...
Well, you can always just go down to the bicycle shop and grab some of that, bicycle tire and bolt it to your bindings. And
there's always that too, and thank God we make heel straps at Liquid Force, and I don't have to go to the bicycle store anymore. So.
Hey, there's a guy named Frank Scuso who's in the chat room right now, and he's a little miffed because you didn't mention Rio and Bernie. So. As being, top wave riders. So I figured I'd throw that in. But
no, those guys rip too. Rio's probably one of the young up-and-coming riders from a different company, and he's killing it. If you ever go to Mokula'ia, look for Rio. He's the guy snapping, aerial 360s and, getting in the perfect part of the wave, right there, and trying to keep up with old Top Hat. And
we can't leave out old Top Hat, man. I think we've probably scored a few plane tickets and frequent flyer miles on how many places we've traveled with him.
Yeah, no, the Hat is an amazing wave rider too, and probably one of the most classic guys that you can ever go out and hang with. So, and then there's Bernie, old Brian Lake. That guy, he's a crazy man. The guy's pulling 360s, off kickers on a skimboard without straps.
We're like that. We consider ourselves the magazine that we try to focus on the soul and more about we don't really. We have to cater to the manufacturers. You're one of our manufacturers that advertises and stuff, but we really try to focus on the guys that are just have the soul. If you look at Skip Wonderlook, he got our first cover, and actually Bernie was an unsponsored rider who got our cover. It's the Brian Lake cover, the guy with Fanning. That was a couple issues ago. But what do you think of Bernie?
No, Bernie's the man. Bernie's now. He's just coming on as one of my team riders for Liquid Force, and he's just stoked. He's just one of those riders that's just stoked, and he's graduating from college from University of Hawaii. And I don't really think he knows what to do with himself, so I think he's just going to go kiteboard for a while, and talk about crazy talent. That guy's doing kite loops on a skimboard without straps. That's nuts, and he's landing them. So.
Unsponsored
Bernie,
team rider who is getting covers and just a soul rider. And if you've ever met Bernie, he sounds like Jeff Spicoli.
He is exactly Jeff Spicoli, and he's also a very talented sailor. He was, I think, last year he was the top sailor in the NCAA. So he sails small dinghies. I'm not sure which one, and. When he's not doing that and he's not kiteboarding, he's up flying gliders with Zach and Weitzel. So, those guys have all of their little hobbies and addictions to keep them out of the house, I think, keep them busy. So
Rio actually just got sponsored by OP, and it's really cool. I hear that the main dude over there is super stoked on kiting, and he sponsored up a couple kiteboarders.
Yeah, Mr. Siskar from Gary Siskar from OP, super fired up on kiteboarding, and he's totally addicted. Actually, he just got back from the DR. Just got an email from him today, and he's bringing OP in, and I think he's sponsoring a couple riders, and Rio's one of them, and I think that's a really good way to go. Rio's a great rider. He rips the waves, and I'll tell you, man, he works really hard at what he does. So, you got to give the guy props. So
actually, right now, there's a guy in our chat room, and he just actually posted up a gallery of Brian Lake, and obviously, it's kind of cool because as this podcast grows, I mean, we get like 10,000 people per show, and they just grow every month, and it's like we have this cool little following, and so it's like now finally after I think we've done 4 shows now with this new format, we allow the listeners to interact. So I want to encourage any of you to log on to lostcherry.com and get into the Kiteboarder Lounge. We have a player in there real time, and you can listen to the webcast live. We webcast it live on every Thursday. We start at 6 p.m. West Coast time, 8 p.m. Central Time, which I believe is Mountain Time, and 9 p.m. East Coast Time. And if you need a schedule of it, you can look on Kiteforum. But my point is it's a real good opportunity for anyone out there who has questions. If you see a topic that you like and you don't feel comfortable posting it in a forum, please log into the chat room and ask us any questions. And actually, I'm going to pull another question from the chat room. The Savvy wants to know, how long does it take you to design like a new kite?
It just depends. It takes probably more time than you think. I'm not really a kite designer, but I've watched a few kites go through the design process, and usually takes a lot longer than you think. And and we try to come out with, like this year, we're coming out with 3 new kites, and we've been working on these 3 kites, for the last 12 months. So it takes a lot of time, a lot of testing, a lot of trying different materials, and it's everything all the way across the board. From materials, kite lines, profiles, arcs, everything. Different constructions, different ways of attaching panels, and it depends how much you want to change from year to year. If you're coming out with a new design, or you're building on an existing design, it just depends what you want to do, and it all takes a lot of time. So, and you can ask our kiteboard design or kite designer, Julian Filion, like how many prototypes he goes through. It's a lot of work. So, especially with all the new bridled kites, it's a lot of work. So we're stoked to be able to bring 3 kites to the market this year, and it's a good thing. We're stoked with what we have, and we're super excited for 07. So,
well, Corky, let's switch gears here. A lot of people, the whole premise of this show was to talk about surfboards, and you were just at Surf Expo, and you've been an avid surfer since I've known you. We've surfed some incredible waves, and we've really watched this whole surfing phase come in. And actually, it's kind of funny because I can remember one of my old bosses telling me that surfing would, like, kiting in the surf would kill our sport, and yet, like, I feel that it's actually given our sport a big burst of fresh air. And you were just at Surf Expo. Why don't you talk a little bit about that and the emerging, strapless surfboard riding and surfboards riding while, kite surfing?
Well, I'll tell you what. Like a lot of the big names in like kiteboard surfing were there. I saw Ben Wilson there. I saw Mauricio there. I even saw Pat Rawson. And they were all there, and to talk to companies about, I think specifically Reef, is going to step up even more, to get those guys, sponsored and to support like the surfboard wave riding movement in kiteboarding. It was really cool. Like one of our Liquid Force team riders who rides for Reef, Jason Slezak, he was like, at Corky, it's funny. He goes, this is the year. This is the year that is going to change at all, you know. And with out-of-industry sponsors, specifically out-of-industry, you know, surf companies getting involved, you know.
Such as Reef?
There's other companies out there, too, like we spoke about before, OP.
Reef.
You know, and I even know that Sanuk Sandals is going to get involved, you know, possibly with some athletes. So, and it's just the tip of the iceberg, you know. You know, once you get a company like Reef, you know, to endorse that, it's going to get huge. So.
Well, and, you know, here's a question. It says, you know, Liquid Force is based in San Diego in the heart of the surf industry. You're rolling out 2 surf-specific boards, and tell us about them, how they differ from regular surfboards, and why you don't think small boards work in surf.
You know, it was funny, like, I was kind of laughing about that, and, you know, everything works. You know, you can go out there on a piece of plywood that you know, cut out yourself, and, you know, you could probably ride some waves with a kite, you know, and, I mean, you can ride a wakeboard in the surf, you know. You know, my friend in Santa Cruz, Dave Broom, still rides a 3-year-old Trip 143 wakeboard in the surf. You know, with bindings, everything works. You know, we just feel that the direction that we're going to be going is to be riding boards that cross over into surf. My whole vision was to be able to surf and to be able to kite on the same board. That was my vision, and I have a couple friends that, you know, have that same vision also. You know, like my friend Kyber in Santa Barbara. You know, he kites and surfs on the same Almeric. You know, he takes one board to the ranch with him, and he, you know, sometimes he puts foot straps on it, sometimes he doesn't, sometimes he surfs it. You know, it's you know, that's what it's all about. You know, and you look at the guys that are leading the wave riding movement. You know, like Felix and Ben and Mauricio. And, you know, those guys they're riding surfboards.
Actually, I want to stop you because I want to mention one guy's name. Did
I miss someone?
Yes, you did. It jumped out of me. If you haven't seen our latest magazine or any of the magazines, the new FlexiFoil ad with Molkoy on there, I mean, that's legit, man. He is just going straight up on the lake.
Molkoy rips. That guy's an amazing surfer. I saw some footage of him up near Halama that was insane. And, you know, I mean, the guy's 100% surf style. It's awesome. And I remember I even saw Tro last week at Expo, and he said, you should see what Molkoy's doing now. He's just destroying it. So
he just got a spread in the latest, I think it was Transworld, I think it was the new Transworld mag. I mean, he's just getting pitted on this monster wave up in Santa Cruz, and you know, the guy's just got so much talent, and actually, probably, you know...
He's not afraid either. That's the whole thing. He's just not afraid of anything.
You know, one other kid I definitely want to point out, too, and he's a kid that you have worked a lot with, is Ian. I've seen some recent pictures of Ian where it's just mind-blowing.
Ian who?
Ian from Ventura.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, that kid is just becoming just really good in the waves, and it's just his surfing style. And it's just mainly the whole point of this is just to illustrate the fact that I think surfing is really helping our sport. I think it's opening the eyes of a lot of people. I mean, I hate to say it, but, you know, I mean, my parents are windsurfers, and I love windsurfing. I mean, it's the reason I never windsurf personally, but it's the reason why I'm in kiteboarding. But, you know, there's a different mentality. I mean, you definitely couldn't have a windsurfing regatta going along next side of a surfing event and expect for everyone to get along, because it's just two different worlds. And you know, I'm talking more mainly about a lot of the course racing type of events. You know, it's just a different crowd, and it's not that the two will, you know, there's a reason that they want to instigate issues with each other, but at the end of the day, it's just two different people, two different demographics, and it's great to see the surfing is now being pushed into kiteboarding, because what it's doing is open up the eyes of so many young people. I mean, even here in Corpus Christi, Texas, the local kids, they have slop surf, and they wake up real early to get the glassy surf, but like with a kite, it creates 20 miles of perfectly smackable surf, and it gives them an alternative. So, I guess my whole point is that it's really cool to see, the surf style in kiting, and and also too, it's the flat water side too is great, but it's that breath of fresh air that we need to build our sport, and I think it's going to help the sport only grow and reach out to the demographic, the younger demographic, which will sustain our sport.
No, definitely, and I think that if our sport's going to grow, we just have to be able to appeal to everybody, and it's. I think I was talking to Marina earlier. It's like, you can go kiteboarding on the snow. You can use a snowboard. You can use skis. You can go kiteboarding in the dirt with a dirt board. You can go kiteboarding on your stomach with a boogie board if you wanted to. There's so many different things. You can ride a skimboard. You can ride a wakeboard. You can ride a skim skate. You can ride a wake skate. You can probably ride a lunch tray from McDonald's. Just whatever. It's just the kite pulling you on the water. Whatever, you want to put on your feet, you can do it. So, that's...
Here's a funny comment that just came out of the forum. Somebody actually went and looked up that photo that I just mentioned. They're like, should be unhooked, though.
Which one?
The one of Molkoy hitting that wave. It's just...
Yeah, that's one thing that makes, there's definitely like an unhooked side of wave riding that does make it a little bit more legit, and, it was funny. I was talking to Tro, and Pete said, he goes, "Well, you can't ride bow kites unhooked," and and I think it was someone from SBC. I'm not sure if it was Matt or John that said, "Yeah, you can't ride bow kites unhooked," and I guess they haven't been looking.
Maybe up in Canada you can't because there's no waves up over in.
I don't know, and. But you can ride bow kites unhooked.
Ooh, wait a minute. I'm going to get slayed. I'm sorry, all you Canadians. Actually, I've seen some amazing waves. I'm just talking smack.
No. Did you see that SBC did that story on Molkoy going up to somewhere, I think Nova Scotia?
Transworld or Surfer Magazine just did a really insane story about the surf up in Canada. They took like 4 guys, and they were all surfing in just like the coldest water. But I just was talking some smack. The surf scene is everywhere, and actually the thing that a lot of people don't realize is look at even Hood River. There's waves right on the Columbia River, and people. I've seen head high waves on the Columbia River, and maybe they aren't peeling waves like in Hawaii, but wave riding is what it seems like to be the hot ticket right now.
Yeah, it's fun. The surf industry is probably as strong as it's ever been, and, there's going to be crossovers to that, and everyone likes to ride waves. It's addicting, it's fun, and it doesn't bang you up as much as doing all the wake-style tricks, so all the older guys like me and you now, we'll just go ride waves, right?
Well, yeah, dude, actually, thanks, Frank. Frank is in our chat room. I guess he just had a chance to look at the mag, and he just says that we're the best mag in the world.
Nice.
And I appreciate that, Frank. We spend a lot of time here, and I know that we've worked on stories together. You've known me. I've made actually 30 magazines now, so it's kind of like I've met a lot of people and been doing this for a while, but we really appreciate that, Frank, and thank you for the compliment.
Thanks, Frank.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. Here's a question.
Is it Frank? Is that Frank the Tank?
It's actually Frank Scuzzo. I don't know who he is, but he seems to be probably an insider because he seems to know a lot of the boys. But I want to just offer this up to anyone who wants to come in and dialogue with us while we're online. It's a great opportunity for you to get any question answered. Here's a question that's coming out of the lounge. When will the boards be available, and what's the price point?
Boards will be available in probably the next 6 to 8 weeks, and both the 5.8 and the 6.0 will be retailing for $6.99 complete with straps, pads, front and back, and fins.
Well, and how many different boards are you offering? What size?
We're doing 2 different boards. The first board we're doing is a 6.0 surfboard, and it's 6.0 by 18 3/8 by 2 1/8 inches thick, and it's basically really close to a standard shortboard. It's really close to the board that I love to surf, and it's a crossover board. It's a board that you can take to the beach, and if it's windy, you cruise out. If there's waves, you're either paddle surfing or you're riding it with a kite. So, and it's definitely going to excel in, not huge conditions, but, cleaner conditions, and, can be ridden with or without straps. So, and then we also did a smaller board, a 5/8, which had, a little bit of like toe board heritage in it, where the wide point's a little bit more centered on this one, and the board starts out. It's actually a round pin, and it's a little bit of a V to a double concave out the back. So the rails are a little bit softer on it, and it's kind of meant for more extreme conditions where the waves are bumpier or bigger, or higher wind conditions where you're going to need a little bit smaller board, but not small enough to where you're going to be having to rely more on the kite. The idea behind these boards is to be able to get towed into the wave with the kite and then be able to ride the wave, without initiating the kite turn to pull you through your board turn. It's being able to let the kite fly, and you're able to surf the wave.
Well, here's a question that's coming out of the forum. Are all the boards? Are you able to free surf, and kite with them?
Yes, definitely. The 5/8 is not really meant to be paddled, unless you're, coming in at about, 88 pounds or something. It's the 5/8 is it's 5 foot 8 inches tall, and it's 17.5 inches wide by, I think, 1 7/8 inches thick. So it's not really a board that's meant to be paddled. It's more of a board that's meant to be kind of ridden in bumpier conditions. It's narrower. It's probably the smallest board that we would want to make for those type of conditions. So
here's an interesting question. This comes off of Kite Forum from Kurt Miller. He is currently in the market for a new surfboard. He wants to know if the new boards, especially the 6.0, will be appropriate for San Diego surf, as he wants to make sure that its surfing ability will be comparable with any other traditional shapers boards, such as like a Sharp Eye or a Boyson, etc.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll tell you what, like right before I did this interview, Kurt, I went out, I surfed pipe. I surfed pipes on our new 6.0 kiteboard.
Wait a minute, for those of you who don't know, that's in Cardiff. Everybody always assumes that everybody knows.
No, I'm not currently on the North Shore right now. I was, Ryan knows the spot I'm talking about, but yeah, no, I mean it board handles fine. It's just a standard, single concave to a double concave, surfboard. It's the same board that, I'd be surfing on a good day of surfing. And, yeah, I encourage you to get out there and give one a test drive. It's super fun. So, and like I said, a lot of surfboards work. These are just the ones that, we're coming out, and at Liquid Force we feel that, these are the ones that we want to bring to the market right now. And we'll also be bringing a fish to the market mid-season. So we're currently working on that. And there's a lot of guys riding different, fish boards, and those perform completely differently. It's not really as vertical of a style of riding on a fish, but it's, still, a fun board to get out there and surf and ride on a kite.
Someone in the forum is saying that this guy Frank is a crack-up, actually. He's obviously knows a lot about kiteboarding. He was giving you crap about Bonsai Pipeline. He said not to not riding Bonsai Pipeline. So I'm gonna leave pipe to the surfers. I think I know that like Davey and Will occasionally get out there, and Tobias, they get out there on the Kona days and are able to get into a few waves. But I think that's another place that I think we need to leave for the surfers. I think
it's
so.
an awesome wave to surf.
Hey, here's a question from a guy by the name of Phoenix that he posted on. It doesn't tell me what forum, but it's about the Element 128. He wants to know why they don't have the additional inserts for wider stance like on the 134 and the 140s.
You know, the 134. I mean, I'm sorry, the 128 is such a short board that not many people were really riding bindings with it. And if we were going to put that extra insert pack on it, the board was already so thin, and your stance was already so wide that there wouldn't really be there really wasn't any room, you know, to put another insert out there, and it would probably only. We just felt like it would hurt the performance of the board. So if you did want to ride bindings on it, you would just have to skip an insert. So, and the bindings do still fit on there. But,
actually, here's an addition, like a little more to that question. It says, why are the inserts unidirectional and not bidirectional?
Okay, what does that mean?
I don't know, man. You're the expert.
Oh, you mean, okay, so he's probably talking about the inserts being offset.
Yes.
And basically they're offset, you know, for foot straps. I think that if you look at the wakeboards we make, the inserts are in line with the center line of the board. But if you look at the kiteboards that we make, and as well as all of the other kiteboards in the kiteboard industry, they are all made for, you know, an offset stance, which comes from, you know, 95% of kiteboarders use foot straps and pads. So the market for wakeboard bindings on kiteboards is still small. So, you know, when we make our boards, we have the, you know, the greater population of kiteboarders in mind. So, but you can still utilize, you know, that insert pattern, you know, with a wakeboard binding. It's not a problem. It's just not optimum. So
here's an interesting question. It says, will the new recoil boards, will they have the additional fourth insert for bindings?
No, they won't. You know, that board is a specialized board. Most of the boards are shorter. They go 127, 130, 133, and 136. Most of those boards are shorter, and they're going to be more specialized for riding foot straps. So we're not going to do the fourth insert on that, and primarily because the board gets so thin. But the Element and the Mission do come with that extra insert. Actually, no, the Mission does not. But we did make the stance wide enough on the Mission where you don't need it. So
that's interesting. Well, you know, what's coming down in the board line this year? You know, how many models will LF offer, and what's going to be the differences between them?
You know, the really big change that we did this year was adding a new board called the Recoil. And the Recoil is basically our European-style board that was made to excel in different flat water conditions. It's got a flatter rocker, and it also has a fairly aggressive flex pattern, and which is quite stiff to the middle of the board, and then the tips of the tail are tapered for flex to initiate, you know, better jumping through pop. So went with a lower rocker board that had more of a flex pattern to it that was, you know, better for flat water conditions, you know, and there was a definite need for it, and we'd had the drops in the line for, I think, 3 or 4 years, and it was time to come out with a new model. So, you know, we're really stoked on that. The Recoil goes 127, 130, 133, and 136, and then we're also doing a Recoil WLF that's 140 by 17 3/4. So we're really stoked on that, and those boards should be coming out in about 6 to 8 weeks. So the cool thing is the 130 and the 133 are coming in at just under 5 pounds. They are 4.9 pounds, so we're really stoked on the weight. And that board will be retailing for $469. So
that's not bad, actually.
No, it's really good, and got to get on one. It's a super fun board to ride. If you like the really fast, low rocker boards, lots of flex, tons of pop, you know, that's what you want. So,
hey, you know, who's shaping them all? I mean, you had Jimmy Lewis shaping them, you had Jimmy Redmond shaping them. I don't know who else was shaping boards there, but I mean, is Jimmy Lewis still involved in the mix, or?
You know, Jimmy Jimmy's been involved with us in the past, but on the recoils, Jimmy Redman did a lot of the work in collaboration with two of our team riders from Denmark. So, we really felt like, communicating with our European distributors that, there really was a need for a lower rocker, European style, if I can say that, flat water board. So, we're really, like I said before with the kites, we're really stoked to be able to offer that type of board, which is not a board that we've really done in the past. So, it's a very simple board. It's just a single concave board. And, I encourage you to get out there and give it a test drive. So it should be out for '07 here pretty soon.
I got a question for you, and this is actually, I edit thousands, and I've probably edited close to like the million photo range in terms of, I get discs with literally 3 gigs of images, and I have to go through them, but I get images from around the world, and I see so many pro riders that do not ride for Liquid Force riding their boards and using their bindings. Now, what is your take on that?
It's not really that big of a deal, we make some of the best wakeboarding bindings in the world. If you're a pro rider and you ride for a company that doesn't make wakeboard bindings, you're going to probably go out and get the best, or most comfortable bindings you can, and I think that's about it. I think Andre finally got cut off, from Cabrina, because I just saw some photos of him, and he was, and he hadn't hit me up for bindings in a while, and he was riding some hyperlights, so kind of feel bad for him because, they're just not as comfortable.
Well, you get paid to say that, But hey, here's a question. I used to work right now. I know the editors over at Wakeboarding Magazine, all great guys. And I know how critical the wakeboarding people are. Like, you probably sit in the same office and have to hear the same scrutiny. What do the professional wakeboarders say about the kiteboarders hitting rails with straps?
I don't know. I never really asked them. I think that, it's up to them. You can ask any wakeboarder, those guys crank their bindings down. They're being pulled by a boat at between 22 and 24 miles an hour, or a ski or whatever if they're hitting rails, or an electrical winch. Those guys need all the support, and they need to be as close to their board and to be a part of their board as they can. And it's just a completely different type of sport for that, and foot straps tend to be a little bit sloppier feel, and I don't really think that those guys actually give it a second thought. They're not really looking to kiteboarding, as a influence. It's more of we're looking to wakeboarding as an influence. So it's just different.
It never ceases to amaze me on how many details our listeners, they're so focused on so much of the minutia of our sport, and I love it. It's the passion that kiteboarders have for our sport. But I just got this in the lounge. It says Aaron Hadlow was just on the podium with LF straps. Did you hook him up with those?
No, I don't know where he got those. Someone sent me that photo last week. It was pretty classic. Yeah, thanks, Aaron. You're making our pads look good. Give me a call. Let me know if I can send you a pair. So.
Well, Corky, I want to thank you for coming on the show, and thanks for answering all the questions. This new format, I'm really liking the direction it's going. Sometimes we get a little bit nervous because we put out the topics. We're trying to put them out with as much lead time as possible. But we'll get 15 questions. But our lounge tonight, it was just off the scale with great comments and questions, and this format is only going to grow, and so I want to invite you back here in the near future when you have any new product releases or anything interesting to talk about. Also, real quickly, we didn't even talk about your team, but why don't you just introduce us to your team this year?
Yeah, we got a really solid team. The only new team members I think we have are, we brought on Bernie here from Oahu, but my core team is Jason Slezak, from Waves, North Carolina, Moyhol Gould from Tahiti, Davey Blair from Chuckdown, South Carolina, Julie Simsar we got on the team, Nina Johansson, Bree Chamel. Am I forgetting anyone? Denver Kuhn.
John Romay?
And then, yes, I can't forget John Romeus. We recently brought on John as one of our customer service media guys in the office, and I'll tell you, man, it's so nice to have a guy that, knows so much about the product and that is so passionate about it in the office, helping us out, working hard, and, we're doing really well at Liquid Force right now. I'm really stoked with the direction it's going, and he's been a huge part about that. And we're stoked to have him on board. So
we've spawned this huge debate now that's going on in the lounge, and I'm listening to you, and I'm trying to follow it. But there's some really good insight here. Scuzo says straps are easy to use, and most people are scared of boots. I mean, that's legit. And then Mr. Wiggles, he says, yeah, boots can be exited easily now if you just tweak them a little. So, that's the point is, and you said it too, it doesn't matter what you ride. It doesn't matter how you ride. It's whatever is comfortable and works for you, No,
exactly, and, straps work on surfboards too. You don't have to ride strapless, but it's weird. Like some surfboards really feel like you shouldn't be strapless, and some do. It's just, in some conditions feel like, God, I wish I had straps, or shoot, I didn't need to trip over those things today, and it's kiteboarding. It's an individual sport, and you can pretty much ride anything you want. So
actually, you know what? I have a little inside information that you were teaching your girlfriend how to kite the other day.
Big mistake. Never do it. Never teach your girlfriend how to kite.
Do you hear that, Nikki?
To get her
if
to
you're
kite
listening?
board, have someone else teach her.
Nikki's my girlfriend, and I've told her this over and over, and I know she's listening right now, but thank you for validating that. But they told me that basically your girlfriend swam in, and you just drove away on the ski.
No, that's not true. I swam in.
And she drove away on the ski. I'm just giving you a hard time, but anyway, Corky, hey, I want to give you a chance to throw some shouts out to your people. Definitely want to throw a shout out to your girlfriend. She's just awesome. And
yeah, she's really done an awesome job putting up with all my bullshit, and stoked that she's moved to San Diego to be with me, and all my family, Tony Finn for having faith in letting us run with the kiteboard dream, and Jimmy Redman, Don Wallace, Susan, Asa, everyone in the office, Zim, Bo, Klein, Ray, Leverett, all those guys, they all make everything work. And all my reps, just brought on like 5 new reps in the U.S., totally helping out and contributing to sales, and the best kiteboarding team in the world, those guys, they can get up, ride all day, party all night, and do it all over again with,
the
more
best.
style.
Are you talking about best kiteboarding in your interview? That's so nice of you.
We gotta help Shannon out.
I'm just kidding. Actually, our forum, there's someone in there saying, "Just say no to marriage, Corky. Don't get married."
That's not Frank the Tank, is it?
Yes, it is, man.
Awesome.
Well, anyway, Corky, like I said, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for all the info, and we'll get this thing out on iTunes. And also, I just want to remind everybody, we're in the middle. We're pretty much almost like 70% done of our crossover. We've almost finished with the Kiteboarder magazine website upgrade. It's a lot more simple to use. A lot of our download library with 12 free downloadable magazines is there. Our new magazine is now available there. All of our podcasts are available there. We also have our news feeds, which are updated real time via Google, MSN, and Yahoo Alerts. So if you're a kiteboard junkie, go over to the kiteboarder.com, poke around. You'll be seeing a very huge change in asnews.net, the mother site, which is basically our action sports portal. And also, I want to point out to lostcherry.com, because lostcherry.com is now at 250,000 people. And they support us. We have banner ads there. I'm actively involved with the site. They're actually going to post our new latest magazine on the front, on the very front page.
Hey, Ryan, is it okay if I start drinking?
You can start drinking. But anyway, I just want to encourage everybody to definitely log on to thekiteboarder.com and check out, what we've been doing. And I want to thank my team and the crew of people who've stepped up in the lounge tonight to help moderate and to help the topics flow and help everybody with their technical issues. So thanks a lot, Neil and Spin and Marina, and it looks like Zach Kleppy's in there too helping out, and definitely Cherrylicious, which is Nikki, my girlfriend. So everybody, glad to be back. Like I said, we have our new compound down here in Corpus Christi, Texas. Come down. If you're riding out in front, we're going to see you, because I can look out my office window and watch you kite. And the only problem with it is I haven't been getting as much work done as I have in the past. So anyway, Corky, like I said, tomorrow this will be uploaded, and please tell everyone over at Liquid Force we said hello over here.
No worries. Thanks for letting us do that, and it's been fun. I hope I didn't come across as a complete idiot, but those people that know me know that I am an idiot. So anyway.
Corky, I'm the monkey who gets on this show every week and talks to himself, okay? So, I mean, call us idiots, whatever. At least we're having fun. And you know what? I love kiteboarding. I know you love kiteboarding. I know everybody who listens to this show loves kiteboarding. And at the end of the day, it's one of the best sports that I've ever experienced in my life. And that's why we do what we do. No
worries, man.
All right, man. Well, I'll be talking to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
All right, dude.
Thanks for everyone that contributed.
All right. Later, man.
Later.